Hi, this is Darnell with Way Living Recipes, and this is my 30-day review of the Gourmia French Door 9-slice digital air fryer oven. Now, if you've not already seen it, please see the initial review. That is where I do test cooks, measurements, I show you how to use all the features and functions, and everything that usually anyone has a question about as far as how to use this air fryer oven are in the initial review. And so here in the 30-day review is where I do a follow-up. And I talk to you about my thoughts, my impressions, and how I feel about things after using it for a full 30 days. And I found that's better overall because I'm able to learn more in a full 30 days than I can in a day or 2 weeks. Now I'll say generally speaking that this air fryer oven is a good air fryer oven. It works well for general needs for a large air fryer oven. And one other thing that I found is that as far as its cooks in general, they're a little weaker than most air fryer ovens. Usually things would come out a little lighter than they would from other air fryer ovens. So depending on how you feel about the outcome with your cooks, you may want to bump up the temperature maybe 25 degrees if you want things to cook a little harder or a little faster if that's what you're more accustomed to. But it does a good job. It's just that its cooking is just a little lighter. Like it'll get things done, but it'll be a little lighter than with most other air fryer ovens that I've used. And on a rare occasion, as in the initial review, something might be undercooked or take longer than expected. And so in those cases, you might need to bump the temperature up even a little more to get the results that you want to get. Overall though, I was able to cook things using the same recipes that I normally would use in the same times and temperatures, and I got good results most of the time. It was a little lighter, but things were still done. Now I had no smoke issues with this air fryer oven, and one interesting thing is that there's no way to pause with this air fryer oven other than for a few seconds, not long enough to get in and move things around or anything like that. So if you have to make changes or move things around inside of the oven, you have to basically go in as things are kind of running and do what you got to do, or turn it off and do what you got to do and turn it back on to the setting that you want it. Now having the different functions on the handle is very nice. Having the whole user interface there on the handle is a very nice feature that was put in, like the Ninja Prestige and the old Ninja Foodie XL Pro air fryer oven. The option to mute the sound or to invoke the fan or turn the fan off are also nice additions. One thing to be careful of though, when you're spinning the knob to adjust time and temperature, you have to be careful that your finger doesn't accidentally hit those buttons that might mute or unmute sound, or hit the fan button and turn the fan on and off inadvertently. So just make sure when you're turning the knob that you don't accidentally bump into the handle. You might accidentally hit a button when you do that. And it's pretty cool that this air fryer oven has a lot of features to choose from. It's very good to have a lot of different choices and options. And the user interface is very intuitive, very easy to use. This air fryer oven having 6 rack levels is very nice, gives you a lot of versatility as far as setting up where you want to put things during your cooks. And I'll say that the general build quality of this air fryer oven, it's pretty lightweight. And so for something this big being that light, it doesn't feel like something that you'll be passing down to your kids, if you know what I'm saying. However, this price point for this is very economical for a large air fryer oven. So it works well for what it is, and with the price, it's very nice. The noise level for this air fryer oven isn't very loud, and I do full sound decibel checks in the initial review. It's audible, but it's like a mildly audible sound. It's not very annoying or anything like that. As far as the evenness of cooks, I found that for cooks where you're cooking things at below 350 degrees Fahrenheit, things are very even. Even if you cook things for like up to an hour, they're still very even. However, once you go over 350, I noticed that there can be some discrepancies in the evenness of the cook. And usually if you're doing 350 for under 10 minutes, you're going to get a pretty even cook. But if you're doing 350 and above for over 10 minutes, you're going to have to make sure that you move things around a good bit to try and compensate. I'm not just talking about spinning the pan, but I'll show that later. And so now I'm going to talk about the functions that I used. Air fry works fine, but it is weak. So you do need to up temperature more than likely to get results you might expect on other air fryer ovens. Now if you max it out at 450, it is going to cook pretty hot at 450 and it's going to do okay there. But when you're talking about, you know, something you might air fry at a lower temperature, you might want to bump it up a little bit more, but you have to try it out and see for yourself if it meets your preferences. The roast function works well, and I do have a number of examples to show you of various roasting that I did to check the results of that. Now for these various roasts, I think that I used rack level 4 for them. And so first I want to show you where I roasted some peanuts. It was about a pound of peanuts, 4 cups, at 285 degrees Fahrenheit for 1 hour. And I never moved them, and you see that everything was very even. Never moved it, and it sat there for an hour and things look very good. Also, I roasted some hazelnuts. Now with the hazelnuts, I roasted those at 375 degrees Fahrenheit for 12 minutes, and I never moved those. And you can see that things were much more cooked in the middle and the back than they were on the sides. So it's like even if you just spun the rack, you're still not going to get the even cook on the sides. You'd have to move those things around a good bit in order to compensate to get an even cook. So that's how you see the difference at the more hotter temperatures, where you start getting more of a discrepancy in the evenness of the cook. Also, I roasted some black walnuts at 350 for just 6 minutes, and in that case you see that things were pretty even cooked. Everything turned out decent. Also, the bake function works well, so I want to show you an example of a bake where I baked some almond flour chocolate chip cookies, and I baked those at 325 degrees Fahrenheit for 25 minutes. Some other cookers that may have been done in 20, but this one took 25. And I never moved things around, and everything was very evenly cooked. And for that bake I used rack level 5 to try and make sure that the air fry fan was able to give them a little bit of fan action. The toast function works well. Bagel I didn't use. The broil function I also didn't use. Reheat works very well. Keep warm works well. And the popcorn function, it works, but you have to feel out the right time for your popcorn to get to the perfect cook for you. That is something that you really need to feel out. Slow cook I didn't use, and proof I didn't use, but the dehydrate function I did use. And so I want to show you, I dehydrated a pint, well it's really about a pound, of blueberries at 150 degrees Fahrenheit for 24 hours. And I do like that this is able to dehydrate things for, like, I think it's like maybe 72 or something. I covered an initial review, but you can go a long time with dehydrate. So doing 24 hours, you can just set it and it doesn't sting. And things were well dehydrated. Those turned out really nice. As far as cleaning, things are easy to clean. And so I'm just going to show you inside and show you the accessories of how things look after using it for 30 days. Air fry rack, you know, looks good there. The wire rack is fine. The bake pan does have some stains on it, and I know I could do various things or get some baking soda in a brush and such and, you know, get some of that stain off, but I'm one who's not troubled by stains. I also want to give you a good look at the drip pan. So you see that's got some stain on there. So, you know, you can put in the extra work if you want to get it out, but just to let you know, because this stuff doesn't have the chemical coatings, and I'm very good with that, so some things are going to stick on there. And just show you inside of there how things look. Now I want to talk about some comparisons, and for comparisons, I'm just going to do a few things, but if you have concerns about comparisons that aren't covered by me here, then you need to look at the other reviews here on the channel. Here on the channel there are nearly 1,000 videos covering over 100 different types of countertop appliances, so you can check all of that out to make up your own determinations. But I want to talk about this Gourmia compared to a predecessor, a larger predecessor that was the champ here for a while, the Gourmia French Door XL digital air fryer oven. And I'll say that the XL, you know, was very nice, and it was larger, but I like that the controls are on the front door here. It doesn't add to like the height or the width of the cooker. It kind of helps keep the form factor a little trimmer, by having the controls on the door there. Also, I like that this 9-slice has more options for managing things like the audio and the fan and such. I also want to compare this to the Chefman 20-quart air fryer oven. The Gourmia is larger, has more functions, and has more rack levels, so I prefer the Gourmia. And comparing this Gourmia to one that's been a champ here for a while, the Ninja Prestige Smart XL air fryer and countertop oven. I'll say that while the Prestige has a lot of nice features, as I've mentioned in some earlier 30-day reviews, the Prestige, the fan was starting to rattle a bit too much for me, too much for my comfort. Also, it was starting to beep and flash like little yellow signs on the handle display. And I think those are like the error codes or error warnings that come up that they talk about in the manual for the Prestige. And they say at that point you're supposed to stop using it and contact Ninja for support. So I think that, you know, it hasn't really stood the test of time well. And I don't really want any like favors from any manufacturer or anything. I also, having all the options that I have, I don't want to bother with getting the Ninja Prestige repaired, but it's outside of warranty now. And so I just feel like, you know, it's time to move on from the Prestige. You know, it had a good run, but it's starting to fail. And with that, since it's not able to stand the test of time, despite how big and heavy it is, it's time to move on. And so I do like this Gourmia 9-slice enough to basically let the Prestige go, which I probably should have already done a good while back when it was starting to have the troubles that it's having. But I don't feel it comfort continuing with it. So I'm letting it go, and I'm moving forward with the Gourmia 9-slice as the new champ here. And so we'll see how it continues to perform. So I hope that you did enjoy this 30-day review. And nothing here in this video is sponsored, nothing given to me. And so there are lots of ways for you to help the channel. You can always also check out my blog, superwaveovenrecipes.com. Again, that's superwaveovenrecipes.com. Also, in the video description, there are lots of ways to help the channel. Things like buy me a coffee, links to a lot of different shops that you know well that you can use to buy things that you enjoy for you and your family. Also, there's a shop icon here on the Wave Oven Recipes YouTube channel. You can use that shop icon to buy this or other appliances, and that also helps the channel. And also, there are a lot of free ways that you can help the channel, such as the hype button. If you're watching this within the first 7 days of release and you're on a mobile device or you have a mobile device nearby, you can just open up this video and hit the hype button up to 3 times to basically help promote this video to other people. Also, you can always give this video a thumbs up. You can share the video with a friend, leave your comments, subscribe, hit that notification icon, and good eating.